All right, you bastards. Welcome back to another deep dive. This time, we're going balls deep into the life of a king you've probably heard of but probably wouldn't know, from Adam William III. William of Orange. King Billy. Whatever the fuck you want to call him.
He wore many hats.
He did, didn't he? So, was this dude really as glorious as they say? Or was he just a royal asshat who lucked into a crown?
Well, let's find out.
Let's rip off the historical Band-Aid and see what's festering underneath, shall we? First off, this guy was Dutch, right?
Yeah.
Not exactly your typical English king.
Dead right. William was born in The Hague, smack dab in the middle of the Dutch Republic. His dad was William II, Prince of Orange.
Prince of Orange. Sounds fancy.
It was, until the poor bastard died a week after William was born.
Talk about a shitty start to life. So he became Prince of Orange, practically in the cradle.
Yep. And there was instant beef between his mom, Mary, and his grandma, Amalia, about what to even call him, no less.
Grandma wanted to call him, like, Bert or something.
Close. Mary wanted to name him Charles, after her brother, the future King Charles II of England.
Ah, keeping it in the family.
But Amalia wasn't having any of that English bullshit. She insisted on William. Figured a strong, traditionally Dutch name would give him a leg up in becoming the stadtholder.
Stadtholder? What the hell is that? Some medieval janitor with a fancy title?
Not quite. Think of the stadtholder as the head honcho, the big cheese. Each province had one.
Like a midi king?
Yeah, kind of. And they were often from the House of Orange, calling the shots on everything from war to taxes. It was basically the closest thing they had to a king, yeah.
Ah, so this wasn't just some ceremonial bullshit. It was a ticket to real power.
Exactly. And Grandma Molly knew it. Little William was basically groomed from day one to be a political player, to step into those big shoes and lead the House of Orange back to its former glory.
But hold on. Wasn't his mom,
Mary.
Mary, right?
Mm.
Wasn't she a bit of a less than stellar parent?
Let's just say Mary wasn't exactly winning any Mother of the Year awards. She was often absent, like years at a time.
So who raised the little dude? A team of badass Dutch ninjas.
He had a gaggle of governesses. Some English, some Dutch.
Fancy.
All whispering about the House of Orange's destiny in his ear.
Subtle.
And then there was his tutor, Cornelis Triegland.
Catchy name.
A hardcore Calvinist preacher who basically drilled religious instruction into him like it was going out of style.
Jesus, sounds like a recipe for some serious childhood trauma. No dad, distant mom, and a religious fanatic for a teacher.
It wasn't exactly a fairy tale upbringing.
So we've got little Willie, raised to rule, soaked in religion, and probably harboring some serious mommy issues. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, for starters, the Dutch Republic was going through its own teenage angst phase.
Oh, lovely.
After his father's death, most of the provinces said screw the House of Orange and left the office of stadtholder vacant.
No more Prince Charmings on the political scene.
You got it. There was a strong Republican sentiment brewing, with dudes like Johan de Witt pushing for a less centralized system. They saw the House of Orange as a relic of the past.
And I'm guessing de Witt wasn't exactly sending William birthday cards, right?
Nah. De Witt saw the House of Orange as a direct threat to his vision. He even pushed through this thing called the Perpetual Edict, which basically barred anyone from holding both the office of stadtholder and the top military position.
Clever bastard. Trying to keep young Willie out of the big leagues.
He was.
So what did our boy William do? Throw a tantrum.
He accepted a minor position in Zeeland as first noble.
Sounds made up.
It was basically a way to stay visible, keep his name in the game.
Got to start somewhere, right?
Right. And then, in 1672, shit really hit the fan.
Here we go.
France, England, and a couple of other countries decided to gang up on the Dutch Republic.
France, always stirring the pot.
It was a complete disaster for the Dutch. Their defenses crumbled, the French army waltzed right in, the whole country was in a state of panic.
Sounds like a prime opportunity for a young, ambitious prince with a chip on his shoulder and a point to prove.
Bingo. And who better to blame than Johan de Witt, the guy who'd been running the show?
Ah, scapegoats. A tale as old as time.
Let's just say de Witt's retirement plan didn't involve shuffleboard and early bird specials.
Oh.
A mob literally tore him and his brother to pieces in the streets.
Jesus Christ. And I thought modern-day political rivalries were nasty. So did Willie have anything to do with this little incident?
There's no smoking gun linking William directly to the killings.
Right.
But he probably wasn't shedding any tears over de Witt's demise.
I bet. And with his biggest rival out of the picture, Guess who suddenly became the most popular dude in the Netherlands?
The states of Holland were desperate for a strong leader, someone to rally the troops and kick some French ass. They practically begged William to become their stadtholder.
And I bet he didn't play hard to get.
Not a chance. He took the oath of office and immediately went into badass mode. He rallied the Dutch forces, pushed back against the French and their allies, basically cemented his position as the undisputed leader of the Netherlands.
So he went from political nobody to the absolute man of the hour. Not bad for a guy who started out as a royal orphan with a crazy grandma and a non-existent mom. But I'm guessing this is the tip of the iceberg, right?
Oh, we're just getting started. Remember those English connections we talked about?
Vaguely?
His wife, Mary, she was the daughter of James, the Duke of York, who was next in line for the English throne after Charles II. And let's just say things were about to get a whole lot spicier across the English Channel.
Okay, so we've got William, Mr. Stadtholder, kicking ass and taking names in the Netherlands. But his wife Mary's got a front row seat to the English throne. Sounds like a recipe for some serious international drama.
You could say that. When Charles II finally kicked the bucket in 1685, his brother James took the throne, a devout Catholic.
Oh, that's got to ruffle some feathers, having a Catholic king in Protestant England.
It did. It really, really did. There was a lot of grumbling, especially among the Protestant elite. They saw James's Catholicism as a threat to their power, their influence.
So religion was basically the political football of the day.
Exactly. And William, the Protestant champion of Europe, saw an opportunity in all this chaos.
Opportunist, eh? I like him already.
He started scheming, secretly of course, with disgruntled English politicians.
Juicy. Whispers of rebellion. Secret meetings in smoky back rooms.
William knew a direct invasion would be risky. He needed a solid reason. And what better excuse than to save England from the tyranny of a Catholic king?
Ah, the classic I'm only here to help routine. But how the hell did he pull it off? Did he just show up with a bunch of tulips and stroopwafels and hope for the best?
He spent years cultivating alliances in England, across Europe, playing on people's fears of James's Catholicism, his increasingly authoritarian rule.
Sounds like he was playing the PR game like a pro. So how did James react to all this? Was he shitting his royal britches?
James wasn't stupid. He knew William was a threat, but he underestimated him, and he made some serious blunders, trying to force Catholic policies on a resistant population, alienating key Protestant allies. He basically handed William the ammunition he needed.
Such an invasion.
Exactly. In 1688, William made his move. He assembled a massive fleet, over 500 ships,
Holy shit.
loaded them up with 15,000 soldiers, and set sail for England.
This wasn't just a casual weekend trip across the channel.
It was the largest invasion force England had ever seen.
So where did he land? Did he just storm the beaches and start kicking down doors?
He chose Brixham.
Yep.
In southwest England, it was a strategic landing point, far enough from London to avoid immediate confrontation, but close enough to key Protestant strongholds.
Clever.
And he brought a message. He was there to protect England's liberties, the Protestant religion, not to conquer.
The liberator, not the invader.
I like it.
So what did James do? Did he flee like a scared little rabbit?
He tried to rally support, but it was too late. His army was crumbling, Protestant officers were defecting, the English people were turning against him. He knew it.
So what did he do?
He tried to flee to France,
Smart move.
but he was caught, brought back to London.
Damn, that's gotta sting. So did William just waltz in and take the throne?
There was this thing called the Convention Parliament,
Sound blank.
a group of lords, bishops, and other bigwigs. They got together to decide what to do
With James. With the throne.
with everything. William wanted to be king, not just some prince consort, and Mary was adamant that she wouldn't rule alone.
Power couple goals.
Oh.
But hold on, wasn't there still a king sitting in a cell somewhere?
William wasn't about to let James rot in prison. He allowed him to escape to France
Got rid of the competition.
and fueled the narrative that James had abandoned his throne.
Smart. So William and Mary get the crown.
The Convention Parliament declared the throne vacant
Bold move.
and offered it to William and Mary jointly. They weren't just inheriting the crown, they were accepting it on Parliament's terms.
So William got his English crown, but with some strings attached. Not quite the absolute power he was used to back in the Netherlands.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's just the beginning of William's reign in England. Rebellions, wars, a whole lot of political maneuvering to navigate.
All right, so William and Mary are sitting pretty on the English throne. Well, as pretty as you can be when you've basically usurped your own father-in-law. But I'm guessing it wasn't all smooth sailing from there, right?
Not exactly. Remember all those people loyal to James?
The Jacobites.
Yeah, the Jacobites. They weren't exactly thrilled about having a Dutch king calling the shots.
Yeah, I bet that went down like a lead balloon. So what did they do about it? Stage a 17th century Twitter storm.
They launched full-blown uprisings in Scotland and Ireland.
So William had to trade in his fancy crown for a battle helmet?
Pretty much. He spent a good chunk of his reign putting down those rebellions.
It's not so glorious now, is it?
And he didn't exactly go easy on them. The massacre of Glencoe.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Wasn't pretty.
William's troops slaughtered a whole clan.
Jesus. Makes you wonder who the real savages were.
And then there was France.
Yeah, those French bastards. Always up to something.
They were backing the Jacobites.
Ah.
And generally trying to make William's life a living hell.
So, England got dragged into another war. Surprise, surprise.
William spent a lot of his reign fighting the French, trying to contain Louis XIV,
The Sun King.
who fancied himself the ruler of the world.
Delusions of grandeur. Classic.
These wars weren't cheap, of course. William had to constantly battle Parliament for funds.
Politicians. Never change, do they? So how did William manage to keep England afloat while fighting off enemies on all sides?
He was a shrewd strategist. He knew how to play the game, manipulating Parliament, balancing factions, keeping the money flowing for his military campaigns.
Sounds like he had a knack for pissing people off, but an even better one for getting what he wanted. So, besides all the war and rebellion, did William actually accomplish anything positive? Or was he just a glorified warmonger?
He played a key role in establishing the Bank of England.
The Bank of England. That's still around, isn't it?
Still going strong, it laid the foundation for England's future economic dominance.
So he wasn't just a bloodthirsty tyrant. There was some method to the madness.
He also helped solidify the power of Parliament, nudging England further towards a constitutional monarchy. He was a complex figure.
That's one way to put it. Ruthless, ambitious, but also kind of forward-thinking. He laid the groundwork for a lot of things that made England, well, England.
He did. It's up to each of us to decide where we stand on King Billy.
Well said. He was a right royal bastard, but a fascinating one nonetheless. And that, my friends, is the deep dive on William III. We covered his rise to power, his invasion of England, his brutal crackdowns, his endless wars, and his surprisingly progressive reforms. It's a story full of twists, turns, and enough intrigue to make your head spin. So, was he a glorious king or just a right royal asshat? You decide. Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and keep digging for the truth no matter how messy it gets. And remember, history is never black and white. It's full of shades of gray, and sometimes those shades are pretty fucking dark. Cheers, you magnificent bastards.